This almost looks like a bouquet. It's so pretty. Start something new with like new spring energy. Hello! Welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy. My name is Amanda and today I'm sharing with you my spring knitting inspiration. Spring is finally upon us and I'm so excited because this is one of my favorite seasons. Here in Washington, D.C., the cherry blossoms come out, the trees come back to life in Rock Creek Park, and it just is a beautiful time. I feel like the city really wakes up, and this is the time for everyone to get out and enjoy the temperate weather before it becomes a swampy hellscape from like June to September. So I'm very excited to start out warm weather knitting. It's some of my favorite kind of knitting. I've been really deep into sweater making these past few months, and I'm just excited for a little bit of a change and to embrace some of spring's colors. So with this change of the season, I'm also feeling a lot of chaotic creative energy where there's so many ideas flowing in of what I'd like to make, but I haven't really made a strict plan. I have lots of ideas from what I want to do from now to the end of the summer. For me, spring and summer planning are pretty similar because, like I said, like the weather changes pretty quickly here. So there's some things that I probably won't make till the summer, but these are just some things that I've been musing about the past month or a few weeks, ever since we got a taste of some nice spring weather. So I've divided this up by the type of garment, whether it's a t-shirt or a tank top, etc. And then I'll talk about some patterns I've been thinking about. I do have some yarns in stash that I want to show you that you haven't seen before, and some that you definitely have if you watch my channel. And we'll just talk about what I've been inspired by lately, and I'd love to hear what you're planning on making this spring, if you're inspired by any certain color or texture or fiber, and I'm very excited for this seasonal shift. With that, let's get into it with one of the things that I've been most excited about and I've been talking about for quite some time now. I recently shared on my Instagram story some inspiration about knitting a dress. And specifically, I've seen some folks knit up a dress version of the Kumulus top by PetiteKnit. The Kumulus top's a pretty basic camisole. It's like a 4 triangle camisole with spaghetti straps. And I think I talked about this video or this picture in the beginning of the year. And before that, I was thinking about this dress, so I think it's actually finally time to sit down and make a knit dress. And I haven't done one since I've started knitting garments. So I really love the idea of the Kumulus dress with the huge caveat that it is made in fingering weight silk. So it will be a little expensive, but I think very worth it. When I was posting on Instagram, people were like, this is a great idea. And I think it'll be a really great forever piece. With that, a lot of things could go wrong as silk grows and the fit would really have to be spot on. That'd be something that I'd really have to do a lot of gauging, measuring my body, kind of checking in with the different ratios if anything's changed and making sure that it would fit. But I'm leaning towards doing that. The other idea I had was I saw that Sari Norduland had created a dress called the Winona dress, but this is on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's made in a bulky weight yarn. And even though the yarn is a cotton or linen, I'm still kind of nervous about how that would wear over time and how the weight of that dress would like carry itself and kind of weigh the dress down over time. The weight of the fabric. I've been going back and forth with kind of the third unstated option that I could just screw any patterns and just try to design the dress myself. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility if I'm taking inspiration from both of these dresses. I mean, they're both just made with like triangle camisole tops, and I think I could figure that out with some basic math, and maybe I compromise and do something like a sport weight. I want to stay away from doing a DK weight because I have a lot of DK in stash and I'm just not convinced it'd be the best dress. You also can't find a lot of DK weight like silk yarns, and the idea of making this in silk is really attractive to me. With the caveat is like the Winona dress isn't made in a silk, it's like a cotton and linen blend. It's a Sandesgarn yarn, which I wouldn't even really be able to get my hands on here. So lots of thoughts percolating about that, but I'm loving all the inspiration pictures from the dress, and this is something that I definitely want to pull the trigger on soon. The two fibers that I've been considering if I go ahead with the fingering weight would be either Knitting for Olive Pure Silk or the Cattail Silk by Purl Soho, which you can get in a much larger quantity. And I kind of like the colors better, even though it's a more limited color range. Something about the Knitting for Olive colors, which don't get me wrong, I usually love, aren't necessarily doing it for what I want to go for with this dress. I'm really attracted to the Blue Iris color by Purl Soho. And I'm also trying to think about if it's a cami dress that doesn't have a lot of support, I might not want to wear a bra with it. So trying to stay away from super light colors, but nothing too dark, because then it would show sweat stains because I'm a sweaty girl. So trying to find a good in between for that color. And I've been going back and forth and really thinking about this piece. So that's the first thing that I'm really excited about, and I definitely want to get it on my needles soon this spring because I want to have it ready to wear by the summer. And if I do the fingering weight option, that will take a very long time. So I think I'll probably, if I do end up doing this, kind of break my usual monogamous knitting, because I can imagine that knitting a fingering weight tube will not be super fun for like a month straight, if not longer. So that is what I've been thinking about. That is like my big project. And let me know your thoughts on that. Have you ever knit a dress? How did it go? Do you have any tips, especially like for the summer? Have you knit a summer dress? And would love to hear your thoughts. The next item that I have is a pretty traditional thing when you think of spring knits, and that is a knit t-shirt. I have some yarn in stash that I've been thinking about using since I got it last spring, summer, and I've been throwing around ideas for what I'd like to make with it. And that yarn is the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway Elephant Blue. I'll get close to the mic and do ASMR. I'm just very excited to have a mic. So I actually showed this, I think, in either my summer video last year, and I just haven't used it yet, but I'm planning on using it this year. This was another thing that I got from Knitting for Olive, that it ended up being darker than I thought. I usually buy my Knitting for Olive online, and that can be a struggle. So I now usually like religiously check Ravelry and check the colorways just to make sure that my expectation lines up to what the yarn actually is. It's a little bit darker than I would usually go for, but I don't hate it, and I think I'll still use it and make it and like it. But I think that's been why I haven't that's been one of the reasons why I haven't immediately cast this on and made something with this yet. So I have 3 t-shirts that I've been thinking about using this for. I'm planning on holding it double because I am really trying to limit the amount of fingering weight items I make. Not because I don't have patience, but it's because I'm making this dress, like I'm gonna need some other things to work on that aren't like super tedious. So I've picked out some DK items, and the first one is hello Sassy. The first one is the Outline Tee by Jessie Mae Designs. This is a super popular design with slip stitch detailing around the collar and the center column. And I think it'd be a really nice option to go for if I wanted something with a little bit more positive ease, wanted something more breezy, more airy. I could see something like this being a piece I could bring well into summer and use as a pool cover up, or just something when I don't want something really close to my skin. So that's been something that little Sassy is playing. That's something that I've been considering. I love Jessie Mae patterns, and it's been a second since I've made one of her items. And so I'll open the door for you, girly. So many doors because there's a closet and the door to the living room and the bath. It's just like door city over here. Okay, let's move on from that. I haven't made a Jessie Mae pattern, I think, since last summer. So I'm thinking about it. Again, one of like 3 options that I've been thinking of. And these all have, well, these second 2 have very similar construction. The second t-shirt I've been thinking about is a t-shirt called the Luminous Summer by Minimi Knit Design. This is also made in a DK weight, and it's a circular yoke construction with a little eyelet detail. I think this would be really cute if I made this t-shirt and then had like white cast on and cast off edges. That could be really fun and like a cute twist. And this shirt also looks breezy, comfortable. Again, kind of that like throwing over a bathing suit vibe. Like it's very drapey and swingy, I think, because of the yoke construction and the ease allowed in the pattern. So that's another one I've considered. The last one, which I've talked about, would be the Ankers Tee. I already made the Ankers sweater last spring, and I honestly probably wouldn't purchase like the Ankers Tee pattern. I just like hack the sweater pattern. I think it might have one less row of increases, but I could definitely just like substitute that for the raglan increases that you also make once you're done, because there's some raglan increases like on the armpit after you do the yoke. So those are the 3 that I've been considering. I would also like to know your input on this. Have you made any of these? I think it also is very personal, right? Like what would work best. I'm kind of leaning towards the Ankers Tee, but that also kind of just feels boring because I've made it before, but I know I'll also like it. So this might be one that I have to think about more and decide if I want to prioritize knitting something new or knitting something that I know I'll get a lot of wear out of. I don't have a lot of knit t-shirts. I think because in the sun, like once it gets warmer, I'm usually just wearing tank tops and shy away from anything that's like sitting in my armpit because I sweat. And I always kind of thought that it would just get really like sweaty and smelly kind of quickly, especially because in the winter, I'm usually, this is an exception, but I'm usually wearing a t-shirt under my sweaters to kind of save it from the wrath of my pits, you know? And this poor t-shirt wouldn't have anything protecting it. Before we get to the largest section, which is tank tops, and there is some redundancy in that section as well from my 2023 inspiration, so I'm going to save that for the end. I wanted to talk about my annual crochet project that I have decided as of yesterday that I'm going to make. And I don't know what came over me, but I decided that I wanted to make some art that hung on my wall in front of my couch or behind my couch. Something that is a little basic, but I've seen everywhere and honestly I like, is there have been a lot of like Matisse prints that people hang up in their apartments. Like in my last apartment, I had some Georgia O'Keeffe prints, but Matisse really seems to be like killing it in the Etsy Amazon art market, especially some of his more abstract paintings and also his paper cutouts. I was kind of inspired by those, and I thought, why not recreate art with crochet? And so the first thing that I plugged into Stitch Fiddle, which Stitch Fiddle is a website that will create knitting or crochet charts for you. Like, let's put in the most abstract, like, Matisse painting. And then it came out super blurry. And then I was like, oh, right. Like, I have to think about what, like, the medium that I'm using here. Like, that's not... It would be kind of cool. It would be an absolute nightmare to make. So I started looking at the cutouts because they are like much more simpler shapes. They're not abstract. I mean, they are abstract in shape, but not in like brushstroke and like overlapping colors. And I came across this one Matisse piece, which I have to look up the name of, is literally called Large Decoration with Masks. And I'm not remaking this whole thing, but I liked the idea, bear with me, of taking the center column of like a squiggly and florals and making two of them and maybe putting a real painting or a real picture in the center. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I ordered some yarn just yesterday on Joann's. I decided to try out the Two of Wands Color Theory series, and I'm making it in white and then some colors that more kind of tie into the decor I already have in my home. The Matisse colors are a little too vibrant and saturated for the decorations that I already have. And so I went with like a more muted aquamarine blue, and then a more kind of, the color's called Dijon, like it's a mustard yellow that ties into my rug and some, like a blanket that I have. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make 2 of those and then maybe get a painting for the center. Haven't told my boyfriend about this yet, but I haven't heard his plans for decorations that go above the couch. And that is gonna be, I think, my crochet project for the year. I kind of joke about this, that I annually make a crochet project, but I think it usually comes around the spring where I have a little crochet bug, and I'm also gonna try out some color work, which I'm excited about. So all in all, we'll see how it goes, and I'll be posting about it, you know, on the socials, so you can stay tuned for that. So that is what I'm thinking for homeware. I don't have a ton of knit or crochet items. Actually, I have none. Now that I think about it, for my house, I've made a blanket for someone else and like Christmas ornaments for other people, but nothing for me. So I think that'll be really nice to have. I feel like I'm getting a little ambitious. I don't know if you can feel that energy coming off from me, but I feel it bubbling up. So the next session that I have is tank tops, and you may have heard me talk about some of these pieces before, or even seen some of these pieces that I'm trying to remake. So I'm gonna mention like the new one first, and then we'll get into the ones that you might have heard of for. I do have some repeats in here, and I mean, that's just life. Like I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not gonna make up things that I'm planning on making. And this is just kind of an honest look at my remaking process for some items that I made last year. But the first new thing that I have is that this fall, or I guess this winter, I got some yarn from Terrapin Fiberworks, which is a local plant-based dyer. They're based in Maryland, so that was really exciting. And I've seen I saw our Knits and Purls talk about them, and I was like, Terrapin, Maryland, hello. And they had a farmer's market collection that they were reselling this winter. So I bought 200 grams in both the colorway onion and also fennel. And are you gagging at these colors? I think they're so beautiful. I'm not planning on using them together, and they're on different bases. So this base is called Potomac DK, and it is 75% cotton and 15% linen. And this is 100% cotton. This is the Chesapeake DK. And they all have like local Maryland names, which is cool. So this is the onion colorway, and it's this beautiful white with pink and darker pinks kind of saturated throughout. I don't have a plan for the fennel yet, so I don't know what I'm making with this yet. You might see this in the summer. But for this, I would love to cast on the Soho top by Kadri, and I think it'd be a really fun mixture with like the texture of this yarn and the garter stitch and the variegation. I usually don't go for like speckled yarns like this, but I think I'll really like the finished product, and I wanted to do something just a little different. That is my plan. I really like the look of the Soho top. It is kind of a higher necked camisole that I feel like I could wear a bra with, or not. It kind of just depends on the fit. And I think with the cotton and linen, it'll be a great layering piece for spring, and then a great piece by itself once the weather gets swampy here. The next 3 things are either things that I've made before or things that I want to remake. And this is where I kind of like where the chaos is, I feel like catching up to me, right? Because I have all these things that I want to rework to make sure that I love them, but also all these new ideas that I want to cast on and get new yarns for. So I think what I might end up doing is maybe alternating, like for every new project that I make, I should go back and either remake one of these things. So the first one is actually a new project that I'll just throw out there. I was like, maybe I'll save this for summer. You might hear me talk about this in a summer video. I've already made the So Secret crop by Jessie Mae designs, and I have a podcast episode on it if you want to hear me talk about it. I love that tank top. I think it's a great basic, and I would just like to make it in black. I really have nothing else to say other than like I just want a basic black knit tank, and I want to locate maybe a cotton merino yarn to make it with, because that's what I used last time and I really enjoyed that combo. Again, not super exciting, but like I want to make a black tank top. Some things I could really wax poetic about, and other things I like have nothing to say, and I think that is okay. The last two things I talked about in my inspiration video, and that is remaking or reworking the drops tank top that I made, and also the Ingrid top that I made, not to be confused with the Ingrid sweater. So I have frogged the drops tank top, which I talked about in that original video, and I want to swatch this up, which I didn't do the first time, first of all, and then see if the marling will work, because I'm worried about color bleeding. And this is a cheap yarn, so I don't know how that's going to work. This is dropped Safran in, I think they're brown and white colors. And I want to, I think, make the June top with this, because she has some marling in that project, and I think that'd be kind of a good alternative for what I was going for this original plan. And then the last thing that I have is, I don't have the top with me, is the Ingrid top, which doesn't really fit me well. And I was thinking I might have to frog it completely, but once I frogged this on Monday, because I was like, it's spring, I'm gonna frog it. Let's like start something new with like new spring energy. So I tore it apart, limb from limb. Once I did that, I was like, oh, I actually could probably just go back, rip back to where I need to, and then I would have to do some referencing the pattern to see if the stitch counts all make sense, but I think I could make it make sense. I think I could figure this out. So those are the two kind of rehab projects that I want to work on, either kind of spring or summer. This is where, again, like the spring turns into summer and the chaos continues. But those are some of my ideas that I have right now. I'm feeling very inspired. I feel like I have a lot of beautiful colors around me. Like, this almost looks like a bouquet. It's so pretty. And I'm just feeling really excited about the things that I want to bring into my wardrobe. Please let me know any of your thoughts. If you've made any of these patterns, if you have your own spring inspiration, I'd love to hear what's been inspiring you lately, what you want to cast on this season. And I'm wishing you all a lovely and healthy season. And I will see y'all soon, I think, for a podcast episode at the end of the month. Thank you so much again for being here. I really appreciate it, if I don't say that enough. And I will see y'all soon.